Weighted Walks with KB, where I take a walk wearing my weighted vest and we talk about some weighty subjects. Today's video is dedicated to my new friend Danny Boy. Danny Boy reached out to me. Apparently my videos have come across his feed. I've had a few people reach out to me, so a few people. I think if you've reached out to me and you've encouraged me, I really appreciate it. That stuff really helps. Just making sure that, getting some feedback, some positive feedback. Someone like myself, that's going to help me, produce more content and keep doing it. So Danny Boy says that he's having a hard time getting anybody interested in talking to him about some of this deep stuff, especially in Christianity. So I feel for him. I'm in the exact same spot. You go to church and there's pretty much nobody in my church, very few people that want to talk about anything other than status quo. And so I feel like the church has been getting things wrong for a long time. And clearly something's happening. I mean, I've done previous videos on the Great Awakening, and obviously something is happening. If you don't know who Justin Paul Abraham is, I'd recommend you watch some of his videos. And he just did a video the other day about God's Spirit being poured out on all flesh. And that's what's triggering this mass awakening event where everybody's all of a sudden whoa, what's going on? And if you notice, people are searching for truth. People are looking for wisdom. So wisdom is one of the 7 spirits of God, and she loves us. She wants to hang out with us. She wants to teach us stuff. It's like your very own personal tutor, instructed by God, like an angel. And people are hungry for that right now. But there's so much church hurt. It's people have just been hurt by the church. And there's so much judgment in the church. And I think it's a lot of it is just we're not getting it right. And I think God is just really is making things new. And everything's about to be different. How does that play out? Who really knows? I mean, I've talked about the fourth turning. That's a secular concept that makes a lot of sense. And we're clearly in a fourth turning, a societal winter. I also think it's much bigger than that. It's like a super cycle of fourth turnings and a dispensational shift and a kingdom age being brought to the earth. And as the Spirit is poured out on all flesh, people are starting to realize things aren't right. Things aren't the way they should be. And that you're a spirit living in a body that has a soul. And you're never really taught that. The church doesn't teach that. So back to Danny Boy. He says he's having a hard time talking to anybody about the first resurrection, the second resurrection, and the rapture. So in the church, there's this thing called the rapture, if you're not familiar. And it basically means we get beamed up. And there's all these movies and books on it. And it was always kind of weird to me. And I never really put much thought into it because I was just it seems kind of weird. And I really think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like the church or don't want to get involved in the church. At least one of the issues that outsiders looking in have a problem with Christianity. Because I do believe that a lot of Christians have this escapism mentality, and it's disheartening. Because when I read the Bible, it's a lot about overcoming, and that God's not going to necessarily protect us from trials and tribulations. And Jesus has overcome the world. Jesus lives inside of us. He's in me, moving through me right now. So I have overcome the world. I don't have to worry about anything. I literally have this bulletproof mentality as I'm wearing my bulletproof vest, that nothing's going to take me out unless it's just how it's supposed to be. And I trust God. It's like the three Hebrew boys that go into the fire and they're like, hey man, throw me in the fire. It's all good. God's going to save me. And even if he don't, he's still good. Then there was a reason why he didn't. And that's how I feel like we have to live life. And I know people who love God, who love Jesus, and who believe he died for them and have put their trust and their faith in God, which is all supernatural anyways. I mean, thinking about a virgin birth and a death on a cross to bear our sins and a resurrection, it's all extremely supernatural and highly insane if you're not a Christian or a believer. But these people that are in the church, and then they like, the Antichrist is coming and the world's gonna fall apart and the doom and destruction is on the way, and we're just gonna get beamed out. We're not gonna have to deal with any of it. It just doesn't seem biblical to me. If you Old Testament to New Testament, all people, non-believers and believers, deal with stuff and trials and tribulations and circumstances and situations that aren't necessarily fun. And I feel like I've talked about it before, but it's like, as a dad, your kids have to go through circumstances and situations to become more mature and to grow and to learn how strong they are and who they are. Like, God believes in you more than you believe in you. And the same is true about me. And so he'll allow us, not necessarily cause, but allow us to go through things, circumstances, situations, trials, because we come out stronger. The Bible's really clear on that. It creates perseverance and character, and it builds our faith through those circumstances. And so I don't think we're necessarily going to get protected from all that stuff. So all that, this is a long rant for me to talk about. I'm definitely not a pre-tribber. Where there's these movies like Left Behind. I think even The Simpsons had a video about it where all the Christians are just gone. And the world's like, whoa, what's going to happen? Now, there are some theories that we're being set up for some kind of like alien deception. So that if there was a pre-trib rapture and all the people who believe in Jesus are gone, that they can set it up on like, oh, they were all taken by aliens or something. I'm not convinced at all that that's the deal. I think we sit here and we go through everything that all of creation goes through. And as a son of God, it's our job, my job, to govern creation. I don't think I can talk about Psalm 8 enough. Go read Psalm 8 and tell me you're not powerful. King David's like, God, I got to know, what were you thinking? How did you give humans the ability to have dominion and power over all creation, over everything? Even though it says that like Hastatan's the ruler of the air and the prince of the airways and the God of this age, that's only if you allow it. That's the thing with dominion, authority, and power. You can give it up. Just because you have it doesn't necessarily mean you exercise it. So if you're born of a king, you're a prince. But then you run away and you go live a life of poverty because you think it's gonna cool or make you something. You've given up your authority and you're not recognized as a king or a prince until you come back to the kingdom and until you stand under the authority of your dad or come back to your territory where everybody knows and you take your rightful ownership as a king. Like Batman literally ran away, trained as a ninja, went through the whole poverty thing, came back and it's like, I'm back. Where's my $1 trillion? But while he was gone, he didn't have access to the $1 trillion. So like, you can give it up. It's still yours. You can come claim it anytime you want, but it's still yours. So I don't think we're going anywhere. I don't believe in the beam me up theology. I'm not with it. What does make more sense, the Bible talks about towards the end of the age, the last days, etc., that it'll be just like in the time of Noah and Lot. And both of those scenarios with Noah and Lot, the bad guys got taken out, not the good guys. Bad, good, it's all subjective. This is all fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So don't get me wrong, don't twist my words. But God's given me a lot of words that I'm trying to reconcile, along with many people talking about the same thing. And there's a lot of people talking about difficulties and trials and civil war, and I didn't say that, okay? YouTube, you didn't hear those words come out of my mouth. CIVILWAR and fire and death and destruction and judgment, and so I don't know exactly how all that's going to play out. But it wouldn't surprise me that's coming. I mean, I don't want that to come, and I pray against that. And I believe we have the ability as sons of God to shift that narrative. But a resurrection makes more sense to me than a rapture. So like, I do believe Jesus comes back with his kingdom and the earth is like terraformed, transfigured, transformed into a new creation where there's no more war, and there is, it's like a theocracy where we're all under rule, we're all in submission to King Jesus. All right, I'm running up on 13 minutes. Sometimes I end up just rambling. I appreciate you Danny boy, and I appreciate the conversation, but it would make more sense to me, and I agree with you, that there would be a resurrection so that everyone who's already died, they're caught up. We're still here on the earth. They go get their glorified bodies. They come, they live for 1,000 years. We live for 1,000 years. Something like that. These are the conversations that the church ain't having, and people are asking. So in Jesus' name, I say wisdom to you. I command wisdom on you, that the spirit of wisdom would just hang out with you and pour out into you. KB13.com, come visit me. I got some books and some products there. I love you guys. Be blessed.